My son heard my brother say that we're not really a family. I didn't ask him to my wedding, and now my parents won't go either. I am 32 years old and about to marry the person I've been seeing for a long time. Another family fight has turned what should have been one of the happiest times in my life into a terrible struggle. Before I go on, let me tell you a little about myself. They adopted Jack, 8 years old, and Liam, 5 years old, when I was 12. It was clear from the start that things would be hard. Jack had serious behavior problems because of a traumatic event. I won't go into details, but it was important. No matter how hard I tried to understand, living with him was very difficult. He always lost it. And I often felt like I had to walk on eggshells because I didn't want to set him off. I tried to be there for Jack no matter what as we got older. A few years ago, Jack became very dependent on heroin. I was there for him when things were at their worst. I healed him and did everything I could to help him get back on his feet. Even though it was hard and tiring, I did it because I loved him and knew that we were still brothers, even though we were different. Liam, on the other hand, was always friendly, and our relationship grew stronger. Still, I've always felt like I didn't belong. There was a clear bond between Jack and Liam as biological brothers, but I never really felt like I was a part of it. When I tried to fit in, I never felt truly accepted. I felt like I was always on the edge. It all came to a head recently at my parents' house for Sunday dinner. One of my son's summer school assignments was to make a family tree. He asked Jack in a friendly way if he wanted to be a part of it. And he said no. In his own words, he didn't want to be a part of it because we're not real brothers without thinking. He said it as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. He didn't care how badly it would hurt me. Not only was I shocked, but what hurt me even more was that Liam, who I had always felt closer to, just sat there quietly. He didn't say anything. He didn't protect me or say anything about how upsetting Jack's words were. He did nothing to stop it. Even though there have been many problems, I have done everything I could to help both of them, especially Jack. It felt like a punch in the stomach when Jack said that, and Liam did nothing. It looked like both of them were telling me straight out that I was never really a part of their family. Because I was so sad and hurt, I chose not to ask Jack and Liam to my wedding. However, my folks are upset about my choice, and my boyfriend fully supports it. They have made it clear that Jack and Liam will not go if they are not asked. My parents have chosen Jack over me again, no matter how much it hurts me. It feels like the same thing happened before. My parents skipped my wedding instead of being there for me, and it breaks my heart. I understand that Jack has been through a lot, but I've done everything I can to help him and Liam throughout their pain. I feel like I'm being punished now that I've finally set some limits and stood up for myself. AITA for not asking my brothers after they said they don't see me as family. Even if it means my parents won't be at my wedding? Liam and Jack have lived with you for 20 years. Snowybird 60. NTA. What the heck are you if you're not family by now? I have a big problem with your family. They are the total jerks in this whole thing. People should have stood up for you when Jack said that to your son. It's silly that they let him get away with it and now they say they won't come to your wedding. I would tell them not to bother coming to your wedding, and I hope they are happy with their 2 boys. After that, I'd take my son and go full NC with them. Oh no, I've thought about going NC with them before. But I've never been brave enough to do it. If I had done it sooner, I think my life would have been better. Reineke Fuchs. 1991. Parents who adopt a child feel bad about it. There are a lot of horrible stories about biological children being given more attention than adopted children, which leads to overcompensation. Just like you're thankful for your parents, you should be thankful for him. He had it a lot worse. We had to make things right with him, even though they weren't the main cause of the trouble. You should treat your kids the same. When someone does something, they get a reward. If he acts badly, he will be punished. Even though they tried everything, he became hooked to drugs, which shows that their plan didn't work. Of course, I don't blame them or him for his drug use. As kids, Jack and Liam went through some really terrible things. There's too much to say here, but you can see how it scarred you for life. Even though they had been through a lot of therapy. I remember Jack telling me that the only time in his life he doesn't have to think about anything is when he's high on drugs. I shouldn't be the one constantly picking up parts of him, that's clear. I can understand why he turned to drugs though. That being said, he's still a jerk. No worries, you're fine. Also, Opie didn't say anything about Liam being a family member, and Liam might not even know that he is related to Opie. It would be good for Opie to talk to Liam all by himself. Oh, I've always liked Liam more than Jack. To be clear, I've always thought of them as brothers. Even though Jack was a pain, I still saw him as a brother. Otherwise, I would not have kept helping him. It made no sense for his son to ask his brothers about the family tree. He was 5 years old and wanted to show off what he could do. They are my brothers, and I have never said anything to make that sound like they are not. He has no idea that they are adopted. It's not that we hide it, it's just not something our family has ever talked about. You could add uncles and aunts to the family tree if you wanted to. He said it gently, help me goodbye, and if you don't want to be in the tree, you don't deserve to be there, you're really shaky on this one. I don't mind if someone calls me Ta, but don't make up facts to support it. One more time, August 18th, 2024. Everything that happened since my last post is still making me feel dizzy. Thank you so much to everyone who took the time to leave a comment. I have read all of your advice and it has saved my life. Hold on though. Because things have gone completely crazy. I knew I wanted to talk to Liam after hearing from so many of you. I just laid it all out there when we met at a pub. When Jack said mean things about them not being brothers, I felt really sad that he didn't say anything. Part of me thought he would defend himself, but I got something very different. Liam said he has been afraid of Jack for years. He said he didn't say anything that night because he didn't want to upset Jack, not because he agreed with him. He then told me a shocking secret. Even though he is Jack's actual brother, he has felt just as out of place in our family as I have. Liam told me that he has always thought of me as a brother and feels bad that he didn't stand up for me sooner because our parents are always telling him to give in to Jack's every whim. It was very comforting to hear this. Now that he's on my side, we decided that Jack doesn't belong at my wedding or in our lives if he can't love me as a brother. But just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, my parents made things even worse. I sat them down and tried to make them understand why I didn't invite Jack. They instead gave a choice. They won't come to my wedding if Jack isn't invited. There is no room to talk or understand, just a simple no. I felt terrible. After putting Jack's wants ahead of mine for years, this is how they repay me. I finally gave in. I got rid of all the anger and frustration that had been building up for years. I told them that I was sick of being ignored, and that I had always been the one to suffer for them. There was always Jack first. I made it clear that if they didn't want to come to my wedding, that was their choice, not mine. After that, I left them to make their own choices. Jack sent me too many of the meanest texts I had ever seen all of a sudden. He said I was selfish for leaving him and turning Liam against him, which would break up the family. He told me that he never felt like he fit in the family, and that I was to blame for getting rid of him. Even though what he said was mean, it opened my eyes. Jack has spent his whole life putting the blame for his problems on other people, and I have always been his best target. But this time I'm not going to let him guilt trip me. I didn't even answer, I just blocked his number. There's nothing else to say if he can't see what he did wrong. When I told Liam about Jack's texts, he was very angry. He is more determined than ever to be there for me. And until after the wedding, we have decided to spend little time with our parents. Liam has been a rock for me during this whole mess. He has helped me plan my wedding and made sure I'm not dealing with this disaster by myself. Thus, the wedding will still happen, but with a lot fewer guests. Since our fight, my parents haven't called or texted me, and I don't care if they show up or not. I'm going to make sure that no one, not even my own family, ruins this day for me and my fiancé. Again, thanks for all your help and advice. If anything else comes up, I'll let you know. But I hope my next blog post is just about how great the wedding was. Hope all goes well. Thoughts. Rocket69 stresses how important it is to have protection so Jack doesn't mess up the wedding. After a while, Foxy, Sly, Old, Stody, and Fox, you may understand that your parents' response was not a surprise. But that doesn't mean it won't hurt now or later. Well done, Liam. You're lucky to have at least one family member who loves you. Second change, August 25th, 2024. Hello everyone, I just wanted to give you a report on what's been going on the last week. A lot has changed, and I'm glad to say that things are getting better. Jack called me 2 days after our text argument. I didn't know what to expect when he asked if we could meet up, but I said yes anyway. He said sorry when we first sat down. He told my son he was sorry for what he said and that he didn't know why he said it. Jack looked like he really felt bad about what he did, and I knew he meant it. This wasn't just another apology to make things better, it was special and seemed sincere. After saying sorry, Jack took a deep breath and told me something I should have known. He told me that he had used drugs again before the fight started. That really hit me hard when I heard it. It explained a lot about how he behaved in the weeks before the event. Like how he was irritable, distant, and pulled away from everyone. I saw that I had missed all the signs. While I was upset about Jack's behavior and my wedding, I didn't think about the chance that something more was going on. I'm not proud to say this. It wasn't just about the return that Jack told everyone, it was also about taking responsibility in a way that he had never done before. He went on to say that he booked himself into therapy after understanding the harm he had caused. This might seem like a simple step, but for Jack it was important. Before, Jack had only gone to treatment after being told to by social services that he had to, or because they told him they would kick him out if he didn't get help. He chose on his own this time though. He had never done that before. That also showed he was serious about trying to change. I knew he was going to do this because the thought of losing me and his brother was too much for him. For him, this is important because he wants to prove himself to me. He told me that he loves me and feels bad that he made me feel otherwise. Jack has also agreed to start taking medicine to help calm down, which is something he had never done before. Jack checked himself into treatment about 5 or 6 days ago, and I've been going to see him every day since. At first I went by myself because I wasn't sure how my child would respond to seeing Jack so soon after what had happened. At first I thought it was important for my child to see that Jack was trying to make things right. Because of this I brought him along, and Jack quickly said sorry to him. As a parent, it made me feel a lot of different emotions. Even though my son is young and doesn't fully understand what's been going on, he knew Jack felt bad about what he did. He seemed to feel better after that. It seemed like a big step forward for all of us when they spent some time together just talking and playing. My brother Liam has been really helpful during this whole thing. Liam wants Jack to do well just as much as I do, and we've talked a lot about him. We both know how much Jack's disaster has affected him. This doesn't excuse his behavior, but it does help us understand why he has been through so much. Liam being with me through this has made me feel a lot less alone. Thinking about all of it, I understand that I need to take responsibility for what I did and how things got worse. Jack did some things that made me mad in the weeks before the fight. I let my anger build up until I finally lost it instead of dealing with it quietly. From what I can see now, his actions were probably caused by his return, and I should have seen that sooner. Since Jack is now taking his recovery seriously, I'm trying to focus on what I can do to help him. I feel bad that I didn't see the warning signs and acted the way I did. I was very angry with Jack when I wrote my first 2 posts. Even though nothing I said was wrong or not true, I did paint a picture of Jack's worst times without including everything else. To remember everyone, Jack went through a terrible thing. Jack and Liam both experienced terrible abuse from their birth families, including a lot of CSA, and Jack's abuse was much worse. Jack now finds it funny that their birth father liked him the most in the worst ways. Jack began using drugs when he was young, but I thought he was clean for a while. When we were kids, Jack told me that he still thinks about being abused, even though it's been almost 20 years since we were adopted. He says that getting high is the only thing that makes him feel calm. Jack has been through a lot, and it still affects him every day. I'm not defending his behavior, but it's important to understand that he's going through a lot of pain. I still believe in Jack. Despite everything, he seems strong enough to get over his past, and with Liam and me by his side, I think he will be able to do it. Also, I want to thank everyone who helped me with and gave me tips on my last article. Your thoughts gave me a new way to look at things and gave me the drive I needed to deal with this situation in a more caring way. We still have a long way to go, but I think we are on the right path now. Things look like they are getting better for now. Jack is working hard on his treatment, and our family is slowly getting better. Everything is going well so far, and I will help Jack as long as he is willing to do so himself. Again, thank you all for your help. Your advice has been very helpful during this tough time. Now let's read the next story. Second story. I taped my wife cheating and showed our kids. I sent it to her boss and her sick mother as well. Hi everyone. This post will try to be short. My 32-year-old wife cheated on me, 35 years old. We'd been married since she was 22 years old, and I thought it was a great marriage. Our 2 boys are now 7 and 6 years old. I wasn't sure about her because she started coming home from work 40 minutes late every day for 3 weeks. Until I chose to look into it. I hired a private investigator who got pictures and tapes of her with her boyfriend, who is a co-worker, and I vowed to get even. I gave those films to her mother, who has a disease that will kill her soon. I don't want her to die thinking that her daughter is an angel. I also sent them to her friends, my family, and her boss, because her workplace has strict rules against having relationships with a lover's wife. Before that happened, my kids were at my parents' house while she was working. I asked my boss for a few days off, which is why I was able to get all of this done at work. Then I told my kids that we were breaking up because of her and showed them a video of her mother with her boyfriend. Of course they were sad, they cried and hugged me. When I leave my wife, I'll take them to a psychologist. Since we live in a at-fault state, proof of her cheating would help me get the divorce. I agree that I wasn't a great husband, but why did she cheat on me? I'm not sure, and I don't care right now. After everything, my bigger brother came up to me and we had a quiet talk. He told me my kids thought I was a jerk. He gets why I want to get back at him, but he thinks that by showing him those tapes and talking about their mother in that way, I have traumatized them. He agreed that it was my wife's fault and not mine. However, he thinks I should have waited a little longer before telling them. We had a fight for almost 30 minutes. Even though he loves me and is my brother, he thinks I was mean to the kids and called me in a hole again. That happened 3 days ago, and I still think about it. What about you, AITA? In case you were asking, my wife has tried to get in touch with me and talk to me and the kids, but they don't want to see her and neither do I. From what I know, she is staying with her sister. To add to what I already said, I told my kids that and showed them the video because I didn't want their mom to blame me for the split. I needed to show them that I wasn't the bad guy, so I showed them the video. Thoughts? Hey, did you show your 6 and 7-year-olds a video of their mother with someone else? Wow, you're a crazy weirdo. Today is August 15th, 2024. A lot of people have asked for an update on private, so I'll give one. I'll try to keep it short, though. Also, a lot of you think my story is fake because it's not original, to be honest. This made me laugh. What? Do you think I'm going to say that a unicorn came down from the sun? You have to believe me, not me. I'm not going to get down on my knees and beg you to believe me. Basically, I found proof that my wife had been cheating on me, which I told my kids so they would understand that, from my point of view, I wasn't the bad guy in our split. A few days after the post, my wife asked me to meet her out in public. I went to the park because I knew I had to talk to her soon. The conversation went on for more than 2 hours, but these are the main points. She told me that her mother was sad and angry with her when I showed her proof of cheating to her mother, who has a serious illness. I told her that it was her problem, not mine. She told me that her ex-lover's wife had lost the baby. I forgot to tell her that his wife was pregnant, and I told her that it was her husband's fault, because I had proof that he had been cheating on my wife. Like many of you, she told me that she might press charges against me for showing the tapes to other people. There were videos of her cheating, and I could lose custody of my children, even though they are biologically mine. I did something I'm not proud of. I emotionally manipulated her. I cried because, despite what it looked like, all of this had left me emotionally shaken. I told her it was her fault, and that I felt cornered. And she cried too. We cried for about 20 minutes before we could calm down. We talked about it and agreed that she would keep the house, I would move out, and she would have care of the kids. But I can go see them whenever I want. She didn't lose her job because it looks like her dad is friendly with her boss. I know this is against the law, but this worked out really well for me in general. I'm done shaking things up. I don't know if her ex-partner will keep the job or not. And to be honest, I no longer care. At the moment, I'm helping my wife get back on good terms with our kids. Over time, they promised to try for me. I also chose to see a psychologist right now to help the kids deal with the stress of the breakup better. That's all the news. Is this unique enough for you? LOL. Thoughts? Moto, Kenji 25. I think her lawyer told her that what he did was against the law. Instead of not telling the police or letting it come up in court, he just gave up, out of the box. As a child, my dad told my brothers and me that if someone was mean to us, we should be mean to them even more, so they would regret meeting us. While I may have gone too far with my kids, I don't think I did anything really wrong, and I'm glad that the split will work out in the end. Oop about why he was showing the movie to his kids. Of course, I didn't mean to hurt my wife. I did it so they could see for themselves that she was bad and not I was to blame for our split.